I am extremely excited today because we have a guest from a group that we talk about quite a bit on this call. And we've heard you, everyone has been asking questions about autism on the seas. And so we are super excited today to have with us Danielle Puccino, or Danny. She's been with Autism on the Seas for 2 years now as the head of the sales department. She manages their in-house booking agents as well as outside travel agents who wish to book their clients on their staff-assisted sailings. So I am so excited to be bringing her up, and I want you guys to do me a favor and locate the chat box, and I want you to show Danny some love and welcome her to our call. Danielle, are you able to take the call? All right, let's test your mic, Danielle, and see if, because I know I can't hear you. So let me see. Adrian, are you able to hear Danny?
Well, no, ma'am.
Okay. You may need to try and let's see if we can disconnect your mic and reconnect, Danny, so we can hear you. Well, if you all will bear with us just one moment while we work through a couple technical difficulties. I think it's the level of excitement that we all have to have you on the call. So let's see what else we can do. So let me. So I also emailed you a link that has a telephone um, link if you want to try and call in, Danny. Want to?
Did this help?
That does. There you go. We got you.
Okay. I had to connect my headset. Wasn't letting
Well,
me talk to my speakers, guys. Sorry about that.
well, again, everyone, join me in welcoming to the line Danny Puccino with Autism on the Seas. The call is all yours.
Yeah, I would love to help answer any questions. It's great that to hear that you guys have been talking so much about autism on the seas. So a little bit about our organization is that we provide professional staff volunteers on board select sailings. We mainly work with Royal Caribbean, but we do sprinkle in some Carnival and some Norwegian sailings throughout the year. Go out of bunch of ports across North America, and we try to get at least one or two European sailings in there as well. And our professional staff provide assistance to families and adults with special needs throughout their entire cruise. It starts in the morning with breakfast assistance, and then it runs on an itinerary throughout the day. So we'll have assistance at breakfast that'll switch over to pool time, or maybe a private venue like the Rock Wall or the Flow Rider will be just us and our staff. And the families get daily respite hours too on board. So we set up a daycare inside the conference rooms, and we bring games and activities. And sometimes we even get explorer groups that are more, the adventurous type, and we'll go over to maybe karaoke one night or a mini golf course if the ship has it. And we provide assistance throughout the entire cruise. It starts at the port and it ends the last day with disembarking. And they're welcome to have our staff help them throughout pretty much anything on board, transitioning from, the cabin to mealtime or from mealtime to a venue. And there's different levels to our support. So our general staff ratio is 2 to 1. So for every 2 special needs guests, we bring on board 1 staff to help assist in the group. And then they're also welcome to get one-to-one support. So they'll match with a staff member prior to sailing and get to be able to get to know them and interact with, our guests with special needs and that staff member to make sure there's a good connection. And then they're welcome to have them on board throughout the whole trip with their family. There gives it, a better chance to get through to excursions and, the different things that maybe our daily itinerary wouldn't have that the family would want. Um, I'd be happy to answer any questions if anyone, has looked into us and maybe had some questions.
Well, I know one of the reoccurring questions we've had, this group, of course, are all travel agents.
Mhm.
So if they were to want to book a family onto one of your sailings, can you speak to how you all work with outside travel agents, what that process looks like?
Yes, definitely. So this is something newer that I brought on. So for about 2 years now, we've had this travel advisor program because we just recognize that a lot of families already have a trusted travel agent that they'd rather work with than, because Autism on the Seas does run partially as a travel agency. We have a few booking agents in-house. But a lot of families just already have a travel agent that they prefer to work with and that can put in that extra time to get to know them and the type of travel that they're looking for. And we created what is our travel advisor program. This is a commission share program with 2 options for when families wish to book with a travel agent. And that is either for the agent to retain the booking or for the agent to make the booking and then transfer it over to Autism on the Seas. And so if you were to make the booking and then you just decided you wanted to transfer it over to us, then we would give you 4% of the commission back to yourself. We we base our commission numbers off of the commissionable cruise fare. So that number would be 4% of the commissionable cruise fare. Now, the more popular way to book through Autism on the Seas is to retain the booking under your agency, helps keep that client travel agent relationship, and your agency gets to retain the revenue. And then we would bill either you or your agency, depending on how you would like to set that up, for 7% of the commissionable cruise fare. So that's, doesn't include like taxes, port fees, or any add-ons that you have.
Okay. And then could you also give an example of um, how your fees that are above and beyond the cabin price, how that is structured?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a service fee that gets applied to the guests with special needs and their immediate family members that are traveling with them. So this group includes our guests with special needs, a parent or any parent or guardian that's traveling with them, and siblings between the ages of 3 and 17. And we structured it this way because our assistance really is geared to help the entire family, um, including all siblings or, extended family that join in with them. And that's because, at breakfast, we may say, hey, do you need an extra cup of coffee? And the staff will gladly get up and get another cup of coffee for mom or dad that's at the table with them. So they don't have to miss out on anything and they can hang out with their kids more uninterrupted. But the service fee does vary depending on every sailing. There's not really a set like out of Bayonne, it's 200 or out of Baltimore, it's 300. It's dependent on the sailing. And all of those prices are within that travel advisor portal on our website. So if this was a family of 4, 2 parents, I guess with special needs and a sibling, the service fee could be 220 per person. So that would make it $880 total for that family to join our group.
Okay. And are those fees due all at once up front, or do they have a certain period of time to pay them by, like they would with a cruise payment, or how does
Yeah.
it?
So we give a 2-week period for a deposit, and that would be half of the total due. So if you submitted your agency-owned booking form and we invoice the client today, they would owe 50% of their total balance within that 2-week frame. And then the rest would be due by cruise line final.
Okay. Excellent. Now, I know those were some of the major recurring questions that we
Mhm.
get, but at this point, I want to also open up to our agents on the line. You can either raise your hand if you'd like to ask your question or type your question in the chat. I know some of you are at work and things like that and can't unmute. So we want to also open up to other questions that you all may have about the Autism on the Seas program for Danny. All righty, let's see.
So the website is autismontheseas.com. Can I copy and paste it in this chat?
Yes, you can.
All right, I'll do that.
And I was going to go in and let them kind of see what it looks like, because I know we
Oh,
always
yeah.
have agents coming on. We've gone to it a few times, but just again to make sure that everybody's on the same page. All right, let's see here. Any other questions?
So right now, we mainly have our sailings on Royal Caribbean cruises. We do have, I believe, 2 Carnival and 1 Norwegian sailing for this year. And those are mainly the 3 cruise lines that we work with right now. We can't work with Disney. And we just haven't been on any Princess or MSC. We just haven't been, really it hasn't been popular for our families to ask us to be on those sailings. But there is a page on our site that families can request a cruise B staff. So if we do get a lot of interest in a different cruise line that we're not on, we would definitely look into staffing that. And there's no cost to sign up to register into our program. It's completely free and you never have to use it if you don't want to. So if you sign up and read the commission terms and decide maybe that's not what's best for you at this time, then, there's no commitment to it. You don't have to ever use us.
All right, so our next question, when advertising that we can book with AOTS, what are the requirements and can we use the AOTS logos?
Yeah, you can definitely use our logos. You can feel free to shoot an email to our office and we can send you a better quality one if you don't want to just like copy and paste it from the website. But we definitely have travel agencies that use our logos for promotions.
Excellent. Next, do you service adults with autism or just families with children?
Yes, our services apply to adults and children with special needs. We're just not a primary care service. So they have to be able to eat, bathe, and take care of themselves on their own. And no one would be staying in their cabin. So they would have to be able to travel on their own as an adult.
Okay. Next, is there training or certification that we can do?
So we are in the middle of working on training for travel agents, but at this time, we don't have any formal training out.
All right. Do we have any other questions? Again, you can feel free to type in the chat box or you can raise your hand if you'd like to ask your question. On average, how many people do you service on one of any given cruise? Is there a certain number of
Hmm.
special needs clients that you guys will take on at one time, or?
So our capacity, because you will see that some of our sailings have reached respite capacity. So when that happens, it just means that we're at capacity for our respite venue. And that just means we just can't provide respite services for those families. So they could still join our sailings, um, but they just wouldn't be able to join in that daycare setting for the couple hours every day. But we don't have like a set number when we go into these cruises because we hope that we can get the max conference space. I would say that our average group is about a dozen special needs guests. Um, but sometimes depending on, the popularity of the sailing, the time of year, we could have, just a few families join, or we have a sailing this summer that has about 40.
Wow, it's great. Okay, so we had a question of who would they email for a copy of the logo?
Here, I'll type in, you guys can email the travel agents.
All right, and the next question is what are the age of your clients?
Those all range. They have to be 3 to join the program. We have made exceptions for 2-year-olds if they're close to 3. But majorly we start everything at 3 years old, and we have um, a 40-year-old that regularly sails with our staff. It's really depends on the sailing. You could have a sailing with a bunch of mixed ages. You could have a sailing with a bunch of teenagers. Um, yeah, it really varies.
Okay. And the next question is how flexible are your bookings and cancellation policies?
So we have a cancellation policy of cruise line final is kind of where it starts to accrue penalties, kind of like how Royal Caribbean sets up theirs. So up until cruise line final payment date, you can cancel your group booking with us without any penalties, and we'll refund you that deposit that was put down. Anything after, it starts just to accrue penalties like Royal Caribbean. So it's within a certain time period, it's 25% of your deposit won't get refunded, then 50, then 75, then 100.
Okay. Next question. Um, I know that your fees are paid based on the immediate family, but if others are traveling with them, um, are those other people who are not specifically in the cabin with the special needs guests able to board? Because I know that there's special boarding and things like that for your clients, but um, are any of those extended guests beyond the cabin able to participate in any of the services that you all provide?
Yeah, so we definitely welcome all extended family and friends to join the accommodations and, kind of amenities that we provide. And there isn't a fee for them as long as, so if they're booked through a travel agent that isn't direct with us, as long as we're doing our commission share program for that reservation, then there's no fee for them. If we're not doing commission share for that reservation, then there is a discounted fee for the family members.
Okay, and that's as far as like the separate embarkation and debarkation.
Yep. So they'll be able to get the priority the priority boarding, the priority disembarkation. They'll be able to participate in our select private venue times. If there's, kids, then they're welcome to join our respite times as well. And we also have, like a sectioned off area for Royal Caribbean and the Windjammer so that they don't have to fight for a table for dining, and reserve show seating as well. So they can take advantage of all of those.
Okay. Do you work with all disabilities or just autism?
Yeah, we work with all disabilities, and There's no proof of diagnosis needed. If you feel that you would benefit from, if that family feels they'll benefit from our services, they don't need to show any kind of proof of diagnosis. We're happy to help.
Okay, excellent. All right. Do we have any other questions? Don't be shy. Now's the time to get all of your questions answered. If you've got questions and you're interested in participating, or perhaps you have clients that would be interested in participating in an Autism on the Seas sailing, now is definitely your time to get your questions answered. Andrea, could you rephrase? Oh, okay. What training does your staff receive?
So we have certain requirements that the staff have to meet. So they're all volunteers. They all have, you know, some are retired teachers, some are current teachers. They all have to have a certain level of education. So they all have to have at least a bachelor's degree or the equivalent to one. And they all have to have a certain amount of years working directly with special needs kids.
Okay. How
And we
many?
also provide, sorry, we also provide a couple weeks ahead of the cruise. Our group leader, that's our most experienced staff member that we have on each trip. They'll contact all of our staff, and especially if they're new staff, and just kind of do a Q&A with them. And then on day one, before we get to the port, we all sit down for 2 hours and go over what the whole trip is going to look like and answer any questions for our staff. But the most important part is that they all do this in their everyday life. Um, and we require a certain level of education and years experience for that.
Excellent. How many hours in a day um, are your staff with their clients?
It averages to about 8 or 9 hours throughout the day. So it starts in the morning. We'll have, maybe an hour and a half slot at breakfast starting at 8 a.m. And then the after dinner respite goes until about 9:30, 10, depending on the day.
Okay. So it says you mentioned the age range varies starting as young as 3 years old. What type of activities or itineraries are geared toward those individuals?
So it's really up to the type of we appoint a certain staff to be an activity lead, and what we do is provide them with the age range, um, and like a guest profile for the kids that we have on board, and they set up the activities for that cruise. Like if we had a bunch of, um, if the cruise was only maybe 3-year-olds, we probably wouldn't stress to have two private sessions at the flow rider. Um, but the activity lead makes sure to cater the different sailings to the clients that we have on board. So it's really up to them to see what would work best. Like sometimes if it is a younger group or a same age range, we'll have a time frame in Adventure Ocean where they let us kind of take over a room and set up activities there.
Okay. For families that may find it difficult to pay for the trip and the additional fee, do you offer any discounts or assistance?
So we do have a sister company. It's a nonprofit called Autism on the Seas Foundation, and they do provide grants and fundraising options for families to help offset the extra service fee cost or the entire. Sometimes I've seen grants go out for half of what the cabin would cost. Um, I'm not completely well versed with the foundation. just because it is a separate company from us. But I can definitely put their email in here and their website so that you guys can check it out and send them over any questions you may have.
And if you're on the Autism on the Seas website, there is a tab there for financial
Yeah.
assistance. So there's information there as well for those of you who may need to get some additional information on that. And then there's also a link in the chat so you can get both an email address as well as a link there in the chat. All right, these are great questions. Do we have any additional questions while we have Danny on the line? Well, I do not see any additional questions coming through, Danny. I want to again thank you so very much for taking time out of your schedule to come on and take a moment to talk with some travel agents about Autism on the Seas. This particular group, like I said, we are all excited about the prospect of being able to service our clients and offer them this amazing opportunity. And so we're so grateful to your company for providing this service and allowing us to partner with you to provide it to our clients. So on behalf of the 25 agents on the line today, I want to thank you as well for taking time out. And once your training program and module is up, we hope to also be among your first group to jump in and take advantage of that as well, so that we can all be able to share and sell your product to our clients. So again, thank you again.
Yes.
Guys, to join those who
Course.
haven't already done so, please again jump in the chat box and show Danny your appreciation for her taking time out on our call. We also want to kind of give you guys a heads up. One of the other things you guys have been inquiring about was the autism program through Beaches, as well as becoming a certified autism travel professional. And so we will be having a special guest next month coming on to talk about that as well. So again, we're trying to make sure that we're responding to all of the information that you all want and get that information to you as quickly as possible. So again, one of our sessions in April, we will have a special guest on from Beaches talking about that program as well. So again, with that being said, don't forget to get your tickets for convention and take advantage of ranking up so that you can participate in that ceremony, become a part of the IATAN class, or if you are new or you haven't ranked up yet, taking advantage of being a part of convention as an attendee is just as important. So we welcome you to do that as well.